All right, how you doing? My name is Jacob, and this is Part-Time Film School, channel where we teach you how to make feature films right now with the resources you already have. In this video, I want to talk about the camera specs, the camera equipment you actually need to go make a feature film. We're not talking about what's convenient. We're not talking about what would be nice. We're not talking about what we prefer. We're talking about what you actually need to meet spec when you deliver a movie to broadcasting, to a streaming source for a DVD or Blu-ray, the actual specs you need to meet. And a lot of these things really have nothing to do with your camera, what happened on set, what your script is. These things really have to do with what you can produce when you edit the final product. When you have your finished master, what can you turn in to a film aggregate like Film Hub, or working through a distributor or something like that. However you're going to get your movie out there, these are basically the specs they're looking for. They want you to be able to deliver the finished movie in a ProRes 422 format, or like a DNx HD format. It depends on which program you're using, what you might produce. But let's just go with ProRes, for example. So ProRes 422 is something that they're going to kind of expect. It's essentially a 10-bit bit depth for quality, and that spec has to do with kind of how colors are represented in the image. It's not even about the resolution. Resolution is like the pixels that are actually recorded and produced. Bit depth is kind of how the colors are represented. First when they're recorded, and then later when it's mastered and you send it out. The other spec that people are going to care about is the audio spec. They're going to expect it to be produced in stereo, meaning they want audio on both the left and the right audio channels, and they're going to have a minimum audio codec bit depth. And that's not even about the camera, because on a typical Hollywood set, you're only recording sound to the camera for syncing with an external audio recorder. So really, if you're talking about what a camera needs to produce something at a high enough spec to meet the requirements so that you can produce it when you edit it, you really just need to be able to shoot something in 10-bit 422 Apple ProRes. Everything else is really just about your workflow and what you produce. And do you have your audio on different tracks, and do you have a trailer? Do you have all the different like assets so that when they upload it to the channel, they have the cover art and posters, and do you have a captions track and stuff like that? And those things have nothing to do with the camera. So what does the camera need to do? What is the bare minimum? Not what would be convenient, not what would be nice, but what is the minimum that a camera needs to be able to do? Well, assuming that you don't want to record your video at a lower quality than what you have to turn it in at, you want to be able to record on at least Apple ProRes 422. The problem is when you go online and you hear people talking about filmmaking, and they're going to say, oh, you need this and you absolutely need that, it can make you start thinking that there's no way I could possibly do a professional quality movie. There's no way I could meet all the requirements and do all the things that it's necessary. And honestly, meeting the spec is not the most difficult thing to do. In fact, this phone right here, an Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max, this can record an Apple ProRes 422, so I can make a feature film on this that would meet the spec necessary to deliver it to a streaming platform, for Blu-ray, for DVD, for whatever. You don't need to spend an arm and a leg. You don't have to go buy a Red or an Arri Alexa or a Sony or something else to be able to make a feature film. If you want to make a feature film and you want to be able to deliver it, you might already have the equipment that you need. Now, that being said, there's definitely downsides to using something like an iPhone to go make a feature film. There's downsides to using even the Blackmagic camera or something. There are downsides to using the top of the line cameras. Every camera is going to have pros and cons. Instead of worrying about what you have to do or what people like me are saying on the internet, understand the minimum. Great. You can meet that. Then think, okay, what equipment do I need to tell the story I want to tell? And what equipment do I already have access to? If you can answer those two questions, it doesn't really matter what the talking head on the internet says or what the latest equipment is that just came out. It doesn't change the fact that you might already have what you need to make a movie. Other equipment might be nice. Really fantastic budgets might be nice. But they don't need to stop you either. You can make a feature film on an iPhone. You can make a feature film on a camera, on a DSLR, on a mirrorless camera, on a cinema camera. You can figure out so many different ways to do it. What you already have access to. And is it good enough for the story you want to tell? Great. If that's the case, you don't need to worry about the camera as much. Now, go start worrying about how can I tell a better story. All right, that's it for this video. I hope that this just takes something that may be overwhelming and kind of scary and bring it back down to earth, like camera specs. And I hope that other videos like this in the future can encourage you. If you're someone who wants to make a movie but you're not sure how, we want to help with that. We want to help bring it down to earth and make it accessible to you, because you don't have to be in Hollywood to make a feature film. You don't need a lot of money. You really need an iPhone and the willingness to go out there and do it. So go out there, filmmakers, and we'd love to hear what you make.